A couple weeks ago, I did a video called 5 Things Every Beginning Guitarist Should Know, and I got a lot of comments on it, a lot of positive comments, and people were asking me if I could do another video like that. So this video is going to be called 5 More Things Every Beginning Guitarist Should Know. The first thing I want to start with are bar chords. Bar chords are where you bar with your index finger across at least all the strings, or maybe some portion of the strings. Usually they're on with the root on the low E string or the root on the A string. I call this a root 6 bar when I bar all the strings, and this is a root 5 bar when I bar from the A string down. One of the most important things is the position of your thumb. If I'm going to bar a G bar chord here at the 3rd fret, what you want to do after you play the chord, you get your hand in position, is test every note and make sure that everyone is speaking clearly. The most important thing is the thumb position, because you have to get this pinch between the thumb and the index finger in order to get the bar to speak clearly, especially with the B and E string, because it's very tough to get those two strings to ring properly. The other important thing, and I don't hear a lot of people talk about this, is the 3rd and 4th finger, making them one unit. Look at that. You see how these two fingers are locked together? They are glued together. And if you put your fingers like that, they will be in the exact position that they need to be in. You should be able to take your hand away from the guitar and it maintains that position. The other thing is the middle finger. It needs to come down almost straight on the string in order for it to clear the way of the B string, the one right below it. If it's not angled right, it's going to mute that string. So you have to really have it come straight down on the string. That is the secret of that bar, the root 6 bar. If you have a root 5 bar, you have a different thing that you need to learn to do, and that is muting the low E string, the 6th string. If I play B minor here, which is the first root 5 bar chord you should probably learn, what I do when I play B minor is I mute the low E string with the tip of my index finger. If you look right there, this index finger is touching that string right there. It's lightly touching it, the tip of it is. So that if I'm strumming, this string is not ringing. You don't want it to sound like this, because that note's not even in the chord. All the rest of the fingers will be like the root 6 bar, except they're moved down one string. You want to lock these two fingers together, and you want to have that index finger coming down straight, clearing the way for the high E string to ring really clearly. Tip number 2 has to deal with suspended chords. Anytime you see that SUS next to a chord, it means suspended or sus. The most common ones that you're going to see in music as a beginning guitarist are D suspended 4, D sus 4. You take a D major chord here and just add your pinky. Now, when you add your pinky, don't take up the middle finger. Leave it down, because typically you're going to return back to D major. There's many songs that use this D to D sus 4 and D to D sus 2, where you take your middle finger off and let the high E string ring open. If you think of, so that's a really common one. The next common one is A sus 4. So I play A and then A sus 4, A sus 2. So that's another common one that you will hear. They're really great for filling in things, and they occur frequently in folk music and rock music. Here's E suspended 4. You add your pinky on the G string, and you leave your index finger playing the note G sharp on the G string. You leave it down, because you're going to typically return back to it. Those are your typical sus chords. Other sus chords you can have are G sus 4, You can have G sus4 played this way. I did this in my video on the first song I ever learned, which was an America song called Never Found the Time, and he starts on G sus like this. Really unusual. I love that. I think it's really cool. You can do the same thing with C add 9. You can make it C add 9 with a sus4. Or C, it's really not C add 9. C add 9 there, but this is C sus4, sus2, because it got the sus4 and sus2. But you can resolve it. Really great sound. So those sus chords are very important, and you can easily add those to your chord vocabulary by adding one finger or taking one away. The next idea I want to talk about is using your thumb to play chords. Now, you may think this is kind of an advanced thing, but my mom was the first person to show me how to play a G chord with her thumb. And my mom didn't really play the guitar, but she could play basic chords, and she played G like this. And many times for beginners, that's the easiest way to play it. So I play the G down here, block the A string with the thumb, and then I bar this across the B and E string at the 3rd fret. Now there's probably some guitar teachers out there saying, why are you teaching people to play incorrectly with the thumb over the top of the neck? Well, because that's how people actually play, unless you play classical guitar. If you play classical guitar, you play with your thumb on the back of the neck all the time. That's just part of the style. But if you play rock, country, jazz, blues, anything, you play with your thumb around the neck, typically, and many times you learn to chord with your thumb as well. You can also use it as an alternative to playing bar chords. Instead of playing F major like this with a bar, it's just as easy, I think, to play it like this. That's how Jimi Hendrix would always play his major chords instead of playing bars. Anytime you see him play, you'll see that thumb around playing the root on the low E string, and that will leave his other fingers, like his pinky, available to play fills. In fact, I remember the first time I saw Pat Metheny play back in the, late 70s. He played this song Phase Dance, and I remember him playing this first riff like this. He's playing that B minor 9, 11, like that with his thumb on the B, and I thought, wow, that's really cool. He's actually grabbing that note with his thumb. And that's hard because that's a long way away. And then I think he went down to the second chord and he played the B flat major 7 sharp 11. He played the thumb on the B flat there too. Tip number 4 is what I call the changing left hand thumb right here. So the left hand thumb needs to be able to change positions. If you're playing chords where you're blocking the low E string like we talked about in the first set of 5 tips, I'm blocking the low E string with my thumb, but many times then you go into, let's say, playing single notes. My thumb comes down, so my thumb shifts depending on where I'm playing. And I'm shifted up here because I want to block these strings. If I'm playing electric guitar, I'm going to use, so those are all blocked. And when I play these strings, I'm actually blocking that too. So it's all this muting that's going on. Notice my thumb is moving all over the place. Many times I'll play D and then I go to F. So you'll see the thumb disappear behind the neck. You need to be flexible with moving your thumb depending on whether you're playing single notes, chords, and whatever your needs are for muting the low strings. Tip number 5 is going to focus on the right hand. The fingers that we use on the right hand have names or letters associated with them. P is for pulgar or the thumb. I is indice or index finger. M is medio or the middle finger. And A is the annular or the ring finger. These are the fingers that you need to use for finger picking. Now, the most important part of this is the right hand position. This is actually what I want you to learn today in this video. And that position is this. You'll notice the V that's created between the thumb and index finger. Now, when I put it back on the guitar, you can see the V clearly here. And when I finger pick, my hand floats in the air. I'm not resting my pinky here, creating tension in my hand. It just floats in the air. This is classical guitar technique. So let me show you with I'm going to just use a C chord, and I'm going to do a pattern that's, so it's P, I, P, M, P, I, P, A. If you want to get into this more, there's a video that I did about 2 months ago or so that talks about 5 different picking patterns that you can learn. They go from really simple to more complex, and they're all tabbed out in the video. That's all for now. Please subscribe here to my Everything Music YouTube channel. If you're a first-time viewer, don't forget to ring the bell. If you're interested in the Beato book, which has plenty of examples of this in it, go to my website at www.rickbeato.com. You can find it there. Follow me on Instagram at rickbeato1. I've got a lot of guitar improvisations there. Check out the new Beato ear training method. Go to beatoeartraining.com and watch the introduction video. And if you want to support the channel even more, think about becoming a member of the Beato Club. Thanks so much for watching.